Hello, hello, hello. Mic check, mic check. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
My name is Josh Banks. I would like to say thank you all for being here for the Mastering Manhood Conference. This is maybe 4 or 5 that we've done this before, and it's always been an adventure for sure. This year, the theme came from this idea of the allegory of the cave. And before I say anything else, would y'all mind giving a round of applause for Zell? Zell killed it. I told Zell, I said, I want you to make it to where I don't want to get up after you. And that's exactly what he did. I'm like, man, I got to rechange my whole thing, man. You done stole my fire, Zell. I should have went first. The allegory of the cave. In the story, as Zell spoke about, there are a group of men that are in a cave, and they're chained, and they're facing a wall. Behind the group of men are another group of people, and there's this fire. And they're using the light from the fire to cast shadows onto the wall. So everything that these men understand about reality is based on what they're seeing on this wall. They are shadows. But because they don't know anything different, they understand it to be reality. Now I want you to think for a second. In what type of areas in our lives have we been told something is real? And then we get around other people that reinforce this thing is real, only for you to wake up one day and find out that thing's not real. We can think of a bunch of examples in our world where exposure happens and then we start to see behind the curtain. And then everyone has that shock moment where everyone's like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. I mean, you think of how everyone's freaking out about the Diddy thing, right? I mean, that's easy to talk about. That's low-hanging fruit. But think about that. For years, everyone was like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Now, sure, there were those that knew, but everybody else that didn't know, we were just doing the dance and singing the songs. Doing the dance and singing the songs, just like shadows do when they're being lit by a fire. The flickering of the fire is the dance. The flickering of the fire is a song, and so we just find our cadence and we just go along with the dance. And then something happens and exposes, hey, this ain't reality. Hey, this isn't real. Hey, this isn't true. Hey, this isn't bringing life the way that I was told it would bring life to me. How many techniques or mechanisms have we adopted to survive because it was necessary in a moment? But it was hurtful if you continue it into perpetuity. Like, it's cool to wear a jacket when it's 0 degrees outside, but what happens when it's 100 degrees outside? The very thing that may have protected you in one season is the thing that can cause harm in another season. But if you hang out with a bunch of people that says, oh, don't worry about that, man, just wear the jacket. Just wear the jacket. Hey, but I'm getting a little warm. It's okay, just wear the jacket. Yeah, but I'm not feeling so well. That's okay, just wear the jacket. Because it's a magic jacket. And you sweating, and you stinking, and it don't feel comfortable, and it don't feel right, but somebody convinced you that the jacket was magic, the shadows that they put in front of us. As men, we're given all these ideas about what it means to be a man. Shadows. And then sometimes we do the things that we've been taught to do by others only to find out that we're not getting the results that we were promised. What do? When you realize that the shadows are just that, shadows. Here's the scary part. Zell did such a wonderful job of breaking down the allegory. The scary part is that for every area of your life that you have a revelation, like in every area of your life where you begin to see reality, there's another brother right next to you somewhere that hasn't seen it yet. There's a passage in the Bible that says, how can two walk together unless they agree? There's a lot of stuff we all don't agree on because we see the same world completely different. I look at one thing and I can see, okay, I know what this is. I've seen what that is. And somebody else like, oh man, we doing the dance. We doing the dance. And I'm trying to figure out why you doing the dance. Because he ain't seen it yet. He hasn't seen it yet. And so a part of this story, the allegory of the cave, is that once someone breaks out of the cave, the transition from deception to truth is daunting because your whole world is shifted and you realize that what I thought was real isn't real at all. And I have to adapt a whole new set of beliefs, a whole new set of understandings, a whole new set of skills to deal with reality. Probably the most easy example of the allegory of the cave that most people would be familiar with is the story of the Matrix. Y'all watch the Matrix? Everyone remember the Matrix? And there's a scene in the Matrix where Neo, he takes the pill, he goes through the big tube, and then he's sitting in the ship, and he's like, oh yeah, my eyes hurt. And they say, yeah, because it's the first time you ever used them. Think about that. He's been going all this time. He said, my eyes hurt. It's the first time you ever used them. Anytime you go to the gym for the first time, you start working out real good, you start noticing that everything hurts, and a lot of the things that are hurting are things you didn't know were there. You're like, man, all this stuff hurts. Yeah, it's the first time you're using it. And that's very difficult for people, sure, physically, but think about that emotionally. Some people are scared to death to open up. Some people are scared to death to be vulnerable because we've been taught, shadows, men don't do that. I spent some time in correctional facilities, and I'll tell you one thing that men do when they're locked up: cry. Anybody know what I'm talking about? Cry, for sure. Oh yeah. All that stuff sounds good. We're all tough and we're all hardcore on the outside, but I guarantee you when stuff gets quiet enough and people start to recognize the reality of the situation, oh yeah, it changes. And you can fight it if you want to. It ain't gonna last long. We do small groups and we create environments where men can feel safe, and it's very difficult for some people sometimes to get into that space of being open and transparent. And that's all right. It's just a muscle you ain't used before. But it's a muscle that you were equipped with for your success. But until you're told the truth, you're just doing the dance to the shadows. That's the most dancing y'all gonna get out of me because I don't dance much. Take that. No, I'm just joking. When you have someone that escaped from the cave, they go out into the real world. They exercise their faculties for the first time. They experience what the world really is like. And he wants to go back and tell everybody else, because what happens when you come onto something that's working is you want to share it with the people you love. When you find that thing that's clicking, when you find that song that's hitting, when you experience that fragrance or that whatever it is, when we experience something that really transitions and changes us, we want to turn around and share that with the people that we love. And I think that's a wonderful thing. The problem is, like anyone who's ever gone back to try to talk to your friend from the old days, some people don't want to change because they can't see it yet. They can't see it yet. How disheartening is it to go back and be like, yo, I can save the world. I can save the world. And in the words of J. Cole, don't save her because she don't want to be saved. Saved from what? I'm sitting here just fine. I'm comfortable. I done figured out how to do this. I'm sitting here. Look, don't you see the shadows at that thing? See, I figured out how to move with the shadows. Saved from what? What? That's not real? Come on, dude. That's the thing we've been looking at all our life. That's the thing we're supposed to do. That's how we're supposed to be. It's very difficult to communicate a message of truth to people that are okay and comfortable with the lie. But that shouldn't change our taste for truth. I have recreated myself a couple of times in my life because life happens. Am I the only person? Anybody else had to recreate yourself? Okay, good. Because life happens. And when life happens and you're exposed to the truth and you have to adapt to truth, your heart changes and you want to go back and rescue those people that are still locked in the cave. And sometimes they want to come out, most times they don't. But guess what that means we have to do? You find a community of people that are as concerned and consumed with truth as you are. I've learned a very valuable lesson in my last 10 years. It's called loving from afar. Loving from afar. That means I love you. I care about you, but you're comfortable in the cave, so I got to love you from afar. The time that I would like to spend with you, the way that I would like to be with you, I can do that, but only in small doses because I don't want to take away from truth to entertain the lies. And if I got to entertain lies to be with you, then I'm not going to be with you. Because what does that say about me? I'm committed to truth. And truth is hard. Truth is hard. Because truth doesn't take sides. Truth doesn't bend to you. Truth always makes you bend to it. Always. Truth always makes you come to it. Always. You having problems with your health? Go to your doctor and he tells you the truth. What's he going to tell you? All the things that you need to fix about what you're doing. Yeah, sure, there might be a pill, but that's not going to fix it. That might mask it. Truth will always make you come to it. And that's a hard thing for people. But here's my challenge to you. My challenge to you is that today we've set up an environment where we can have conversations with each other. This is not so much a space where someone's going to tell you what you need to change about yourself. No, we're going to have conversations. And my challenge to you today is that as you're going through these conversations and going through these experiences, I want you to take what you believe about something or what you've been taught about something, and I want you to contrast that with what you're hearing. And I want you to ask yourself the question, as Zell did when he was sitting up here, am I living in the shadow? Is this shadow? Or is this reality? And for some things, it's going to be real easy. Oh, yeah, that's shadow. But some things it's going to be a little bit more difficult. And the first thing you're going to think is, oh, no, that's not really shadow. That's... Let me challenge you. The moment you start finding an excuse for the way you see something, investigate. That might be shadow. It might be. Ask more questions. The moment you start justifying your position, start asking questions. That might be shadow. But my challenge to you is to be bold enough to participate in the process. Be bold enough to have conversations. Be bold enough to speak your opinions and speak your truth and have people talk back and forth about what's going on. Be bold enough to participate in what's going on because the goal today is to walk out of whatever caves that we're in because we all have different ones. We all have caves in different areas of our lives. And if what you're wanting is truth, and I challenge you to participate in today's process because I think truth might be sitting here waiting on you. We've got a wonderful lineup of people today. We're going to be talking about unveiling cultural constructs. What's the culture telling you about truth? What's the culture, what kind of shadows is the culture putting in front of you? I think culture's an easy one for me, but because culture's always telling us, oh, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this, you got to do that. And the most frustrating and tiring thing in the world is keeping up with cultural trends. It's wild, man. I still can't get a hold of TikTok. I don't care. I like Facebook. I like MySpace. You know what I'm saying? I like Black Planet. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what all this other stuff is. This stuff's moving too fast for me. Unveiling cultural constructs. I've skipped that. I'm sorry. Shedding light on relationships. Ugh. Ugh. This is going to be juicy. Redefining health and habits. Your habits define you. You want to know who you are? Look at what you do on a regular basis. That's you. I love those conversations where something happens and someone's like, oh, that wasn't me, that wasn't me, that wasn't me. Well, who was it then? I'm saying, who was it then? Navigating the depths and understanding grief and loss. What are the shadows of how men are taught to deal with grief? Drink it off, sex it off, work it out at the gym. And then you get done drinking, and you get done hunching. Remember that term, hunching? You get done hunching, and you're still hurting. Understanding grief and loss. Faith versus fear. I say this a lot in the small groups. There's generally 3 motivations for how people create and shape their reality. The first is resistance. I choose to be this because I don't want to be that. I refer to that as the Heisman maneuver. You're running towards a goal, but the thing that's pushing you is what you're trying to get away from. Heisman techniques is great, only for a short season. You run like this your entire career, you're going to mess up your hips, you're going to mess up your shoulders, you're probably going to get hurt because you're not designed to run like that. But in the moment, it's great. Makes for good videos. First place is resistance. The second place of manifestation or how we create our realities or shape our realities is obedience or compliance. I am who I am because someone told me to be this. I am what I am because my culture said a man is supposed to be that way. I am what I am because my religious affiliation said I'm supposed to be that way. So the first place is resistance. The second place is compliance. The second place is better than the first place. The first place is good in a pinch. The third place is from curiosity. I wonder what the world would be like if I did this. And usually we start here, don't want to be that. Move into here, well, I got to be that because I'm told to be that. But what happens when you get to the place where I wonder what the world would be like if I did this? I wonder how much better and stronger my family would be if I did this. I know my dad was an alcoholic, and I don't want to be an alcoholic, but I wonder what would my life look like if I found healthier ways to deal with my life, and I taught that to my children. I wonder what would happen then. So talking about faith versus fear. We can talk about boundaries of a balanced life. Boundaries are important. And then we're going to talk about, this is going to be a good one. Wealth beyond illusions. Mastering financial literacy. Whew. You want to talk about a world where a bunch of shadows are killing people? Finances. Finances. Killing folks. Shoot, like to whoop my butt every now and again, too. But that's the challenge I issue to you today. Participate in the process. You're going to have an opportunity to pick the sessions that you want to go to. When you go to the sessions, dive in. Be bold, be brave, be vulnerable. This is a safe space. Ain't nobody going to laugh at you. Ain't nobody going to call you a sissy or whatever. This is a safe space. Gentlemen, thank you for being here today. I hope you come and you find the thing that you were looking for.